Hello everyone, in this session we will learn how to work with deployment slots in app service using Azure CLI. Deployment slots are live applications and have their own host names. We can swap content and configuration between the deployment slots. By using deployment slots, we have the following advantages. We can verify the new code changes in a production-like environment before making the changes available in the production environment. When we deploy to a specific slot and do verification in that slot, its instances are warmed up, and when we swap the slot with the production slot, there is no downtime in the production environment. Traffic redirection is seamless and no requests are dropped due to the swap operation. Once swapping happens, staging slot will have the production application code, and hence the production code is not lost. And if there is any problem with the new code, we can swap back to the old production application. For this session, you will need to have the following prerequisites in place. You should have an Azure subscription. You should have Azure command line interface installed in your machine. You should have a Git client installed in your machine for Git specific activities. Let's have a look at the steps we are going to follow to work with the deployment slots. First, we will create a resource group. Then we will create an app service plan in the resource group. Once the app service plan is ready, we will create a web application in the app service plan. Once the web application is ready, we will create a staging deployment slot. Now we will do the configurations for deploying the application to the staging slot, and then we will verify the application in the staging slot. Once this application is successfully deployed to the staging slot, we will swap the staging slot with the production slot and check if the swap was successful. Now we will update the code, deploy and verify the application in the staging slot. Once we have verified the application in the staging slot, we will swap the staging and production slot, and then we will verify the application in both the slots. If everything is working fine, production slot should have the latest code changes now, and the staging slot should have the previous production code. Let's go ahead and execute the above mentioned steps. In the screen, you can see the steps we will be executing to demonstrate how to work with deployment slots. Let's start executing the steps one by one. You can see that I have already added commands for creation of resource group, app service plan, and web application. To learn the basics of creating resource group, app service plan, and web application, refer to the session How to Create a Web Application in Azure App Service. Details of the session is available in the description of this video. Note that we cannot use free tier while creating an app service plan for working with deployment slots. You can see that we are using standard S1 tier. Once we have the web application, let's create a staging deployment slot. We will need a name for the deployment slot. Let's define a variable for that. Equal to staging. Command for creating a deployment slot will be as follows. Is that web app deployment slot create the parameter, enter the resource group name, then use the n parameter to enter the web app name, and then we will use the -s parameter to enter the slot name, and I will use -o parameter to define the format in which we would like to see the output of the command execution. Once we have created the deployment slot, let's do configuration for deploying to this slot. We will need a Git repository URL as input. Let's define a variable for that. Paste the Git repository URL. Command for configuring deployment to a specific slot is as follows. Is and the G parameter the n parameter name, use the S parameter, enter the slot. Now we'll use the URL to enter the Git repository URL. Then we change URL to enter the branch from which we will take the code. We will use manual integration parameter to indicate that we are not going to auto sync code changes from Git to the web application. Our script for deploying code to the staging slot is ready. Let's go ahead and execute the script. Let's wait for the script execution to complete. Our script execution has completed and we have successfully deployed code to the staging slot. Let's check if the deployment to staging slot was successful or not. Remember that in case of non-production slot, slot name is also appended to the web application name in the URL. Let's check the web application in the staging slot. We can see that the web application loads and the deployment to staging slot was successful. Now let's check the production slot also. Production slot is created when we create the web application and need not be created separately. In case of production slot, slot name is not appended to the web application name. Let's check the production slot. We can see that there is no code deployed here as we have still not swapped the slot. Now let's swap the staging and production slot. Command to perform the swap will be as follows. That web app deploy slot swap fng all tech rg f1 all tech app f1s staging staging f1 staging f1 target slot action. Let's wait for the command execution to complete. We are done with swapping the staging and production slot. Let's check what's there in the production slot. We can see that the swap was successful and the web application in the staging slot is now available in the production slot. Also, let's check what's there in the staging slot. Check. We can see that the staging slot is swapped with production slot and it's empty as there was no code deployed to the production slot before the swap. Now let's make some changes to the code and deploy it to the staging slot. I'm going to change the index.php. I'm going to change the message to what's that? The world created. We'll add the changes with it to the local and then we'll the changes. Let's deploy the latest code to the staging slot. Command will be as follows. Tools config g parameter to enter the resource group name and parameter to enter the web app name. Then we'll use as parameter to enter the slot name. Then we'll use repo URL to enter the Git repository URL, and we'll use the branch parameter to enter the branch from where we read the code, and then we'll use the manual integration parameter to indicate that we don't want to auto sync code changes from Git to the web application. Let's wait for the command to execute. Okay, so we have deployed the latest code to the staging slot. Okay, so now let's check what's there in the staging slot. We can see that the code we just checked in to the Git remote repository is available in the staging slot. Okay, now let's swap the staging and the production slot. The command will be as follows. Is set deployment slot from the alt rg parameter to enter the web app name as parameter to enter the source slot, target slot, enter the destination slot. Let's wait for the command execution to complete. Okay, so our slots are swapped. Now let's check what's there in the production slot. We can see that the swap was successful and the latest code which we had deployed in the staging slot is now available in the production slot. Also, let's check the staging slot. We can see that it has the old code which was there earlier in the production slot. Thanks for watching this video, and please check description for links to other useful resources.